Welcome to Across the Aisle. My name is Gail Garbrandt, and thank you so much for tuning in. The show is on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock p.m. and again on Fridays at 4:30 p.m. If those times aren't convenient for you, don't worry, because you can always find us on WJERTV2.com under Community Program. Look for Across the Aisle, and also search on YouTube, and you can not only find the current show, but shows from prior years. So there's a lot of information for those of you out there who would like to look at the show and see what's going on. We are currently still in the pre-primary segment of the show. The primary election is Tuesday, May the 2nd, 2017. And as I speak to you today, early voting has started, so you can actually go to the Tuscarawas County Courthouse into the Board of Elections, and you can cast your ballot up until the day before the election. With me today is New Philadelphia City Councilman Darrin Lautenschleger. Darrin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come talk with us today.
Well, thank you, Gail, for the opportunity, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Darrin represents Ward 3 on New Philadelphia City Council. He is the incumbent councilman and is running for re-election. So we're going to talk today a little bit about Darrin's background. We're going to talk about his tenure on council, some of the things he's been excited about accomplishing, and then we're going to take a look at what the future might bring for the city of New Philadelphia, and how a councilman in general can respond, and how Darrin specifically plans to respond to all of those opportunities that are out there. So Darrin, thanks again and welcome. Why don't you start out by talking to our viewers a little bit about your background, and I know you're a New Philadelphia resident, otherwise you wouldn't be on council.
That's right.
So we'll just start out with the basic easy stuff and take it from there.
Sure. Well, I've been the Ward 3 representative now since 2004. I was initially elected in 2003, and I followed a tough act. I had followed up after Art Cicconetti, who of course was a legend in New Philadelphia and was a tremendous mentor for me. He actually came to me and suggested that I run for council, and it took me aback, I have to be honest with you. But eventually, after he spoke to me, I agreed. I thought it would be a good thing to run. I've always had an interest in politics. Of course, my background is in following the political scene. I was a journalist for many years and continue to do some of that. So I decided to go ahead and run, and as I said, you know, Art was such a great mentor, and he took me and walked with me at the time when he was pushing 80 years old.
Oh, God bless him.
And he went everywhere with me and introduced me to people, brought me up to speed on the issues, and really became a real guiding light for me throughout the process. And I try and remember that at times today when we may be facing difficult decisions, or just in general on how you conduct yourself and being open and accessible to people.
Mm-hmm. Well, being a councilman is a part-time position, but I'm sure that you have lots of committees you sit on. And so can you tell us a little bit about the work of a councilman and what you're responsible for?
Well, sure. I'm now in my 4th term, and when I started, you basically need to learn so many things, such as the budgeting process, really councilman's role in general. A lot of people go in with the idea that they're going to change the world and they're going to change the city and they're going to tell people what to do. Actually, the best thing you can do is be a listener and be a team player and really be open to new ideas. And so as time has gone on, I've been able to work on different committees, and presently I chair the Finance Committee, which I think is a very important process. I think it's one of the more important duties on City Council, because we actually handle the city's budget. And not only are we talking about the budget, but that helps set the priorities for the city on what things are going to be done. Mm-hmm. And from my standpoint, there's a couple of primary priorities always, and that's going to be safety through our police and fire protection, and our city infrastructure and services. You know, everybody talks about potholes, but you have to have safe streets, you have to have water, sewer, and garbage services that are effective and meeting the need, and you have to be able to fund those things. And so an important part of what we do day in and day out from the council standpoint is working with the budget.
Okay. Well, I know that on council, in terms of its structure, there are councilmen who represent specific wards, and then there are at-large councilmen. So as in your role as a councilman that serves a particular ward, how does that differ from an at-large councilman, and how long are you elected for?
Sure. When I initially began in 2003 and ran in the fall of 2003, there were 2-year terms. Those were expanded in 2004, 2005, and now council people serve a total of 4 years for each term. We have staggered terms, which means that there's a total of 7 councilmen, councilpersons, 4 wards in the city. Each ward has 1 representative that's elected, and then there's 3 at-large council representatives, and each of them represents the city as a whole, so to speak. The 4 ward council people represent a neighborhood area, so my neighborhood area is Ward 3. That's my specific neighborhood, and I've always explained it to people when they say, well, where all does that take in? Is that you look at the city as a whole, and for the Ward 3, you start with the downtown area. That's the heart of Ward 3, with areas that go west down to the 7th Street area, east on East High Avenue, all the way out to past the Shomar development towards past the airport, and then on the south side down by Newtown Mall, and to the north side over by the Ray Avenue area and the high school area. So it's a pretty expansive area, but a very unique neighborhood, I believe, and I'm sure every ward council person thinks their area is unique.
Well, you know, that's amazing, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't realize that you go all the way out East High Avenue and then again in the other direction, and it's not just a little circle around the center of town and that's the end of it, right?
No, it's not. In fact, one of the best things that ever happened was when, again, I'm going to bring up Art Cicconetti, but we walked the ward for my very first time, and I got on a lot of steps, that's for sure, Gail, but I also was able to really get a feel for the residents, the area, and the neighborhood in general, and that came in handy because one of the biggest things I ever dealt with was when we had Walgreens drugstore wanted to put a drugstore right smack dab in the middle of our ward, and to this day, that was about 2005, 2006, to this day, my phone has never rang so much as it did during that time frame.
Wow.
And don't ever let the power of the vote and the power of the people be discounted, because that process taught me a lot, because not only did I vote against that because of all of the folks who contacted me, the city council at that time actually approved the zoning for that, and then the voters took that to the ballot box and defeated it. And as a result, the drugstore was not allowed to locate there. So that tells you a lot, that never discount your power as a voter, your power as a city resident, because you have the ability through the ballot box and really through being able to pick up your phone and calling your council person and other officials.
Yes, and it's wonderful that you're accessible and you can take all those calls.
Absolutely, that's what
important.
you're there for.
Well, we'll be back in just a few more minutes for more of Across the Aisle.
For the best dining in Northeast Ohio, you need to go and check out John and Cindy Elsasser's Canal Tavern of Zor. Nestled just outside the historic town of Zor, Ohio, the Canal Tavern offers every patron an amazing dining experience, including great food, superior customer service, and a comfortable, unique atmosphere. The Canal Tavern is located at 8806 Towpath Road in Bolivar, Ohio, and reservations can be made by calling 330-874-4444. The Canal Tavern of Zor, where history meets great food.
Hi, I'm Elaine Miller with Naturally Green Cleaning Service. My company serves both commercial and residential clients. We do general cleaning, spring and fall, empty homes to get them move-in ready, and final cleans for new construction. We use eco-friendly cleaning products that leave your home or office fresh, clean, and safe for you, your family, pets, or coworkers. Our focus at Naturally Green is to provide excellent customer service paired with outstanding work to build a relationship of trust with you, our clients. Having served the area 4+ years, we have had many referrals and testimonials that you can access on our website at www.naturallygreencs.com. Our work sells itself, therefore we have never had any contracts even with our largest commercial accounts. Call us today for your free quote and see what makes our company stand out.
Welcome back to Across the Aisle. My name is Gail Garbrandt, and my guest today is Darrin Lautenschleger. Darrin is the New Philadelphia Ward 3 councilman, and he is running for re-election in the May 2nd primary here in 2017, and we're having a little conversation about his work on council. So Darrin, I know that campaigning is lots of fun for those of us who like politics. So what's your favorite part of actually the running part of office instead compared to the governing part of office?
Well, in the running part of office, it's actually getting out and meeting people, reacquainting myself with some people I may not have seen in a few years, simply because our paths haven't crossed, and actually finding out about things that are on people's minds. In fact, during the process of door-to-door so far here over the past few weeks, I've learned about different areas where there's been people upset about cars speeding through their neighborhood, areas where people think there should be stop signs, places where people think that potholes need filled, and they've identified them for me, and other people who've just wanted to ask about the new fire station that's coming along in New Philadelphia, any other new facilities that may be planned, or how are their tax dollars being used? And that's what we're there for.
Great, great. Well, speaking of the new fire station, there does seem to be a lot going on in the city. So what are some of the newer things, new businesses that have come in during the last couple years that you want to mention?
Well, I'll tell you, we've seen the industrial park on the southern side of the city make a transformation. You've had some businesses that have gone out through the last few years, but they've been replaced. Those buildings have been utilized. For instance, Freeport Press has taken over a space and eventually will be operating at full capacity with quite a few employees. The Muskingum Watershed Conservancy District has taken over with its engineering group a portion of a building as well, a facility. So there is growth, there is tremendous opportunity. The downtown area has seen some new tenants in some of the buildings. Newtown Mall has seen some comings and goings when you think about Dick's Sporting Goods and the Ulta Cosmetics store that's coming in. But from a council person's standpoint, we really can't take the credit for going out and recruiting those businesses. We didn't do the day-to-day operation of meeting with those folks. What we need to do is set up the infrastructure and really the ability for the city to be able to sell itself. New Philadelphia has a lot of advantages. We have tremendous natural resources and amenities, and we've got great people. We've got a lot of dedicated people. We have a location right here off of I-77, which offers a lot of advantages. We have a mall area. We have the lakes that are nearby us. We have a tremendous Convention and Visitors Bureau and a downtown business association that is very committed, and through Julie Stefan is really, Levengood is starting to really do some tremendous things here. So I'm pretty excited, and I believe from a council standpoint, we need to keep our eye on the ball when it comes to our budgeting and make sure that our police and fire protection are adequate, that our infrastructure is adequate, and that when people arrive in the downtown area and start driving around looking at New Philadelphia as a potential location, they know that the city government understands how important all of that is.
Great. Well, as a councilman, as an incumbent, what's your favorite part of serving on council?
My favorite part has been watching projects start out and come to fruition. For instance, for years, Chief Jim Parrish of the New Philadelphia Fire Department has come in at budget meetings and told us about the condition of the former fire station. And if anybody had ever visited that or seen that facility, it wasn't produced, it was not built to handle those multi-ton trucks and all of the pounding that they take on a day-by-day basis. So we actually took that message to our residents and handed that off to them, so to speak, and asked them to weigh in through the vote and through the ballot box if they were willing to pay more. In an overwhelming margin, they told us they were. So I'm very excited to see here coming up in June when they cut the ribbon and they move into the new fire station. I'm equally as excited. Recently, it was announced that the city received a grant to totally refurbish 6 of the 8 tennis courts at Tuscarora Park.
Oh, wonderful.
And some people may think, well, what's the big deal about that? That will be somewhere between $360,000 and $400,000 project. Our city budget couldn't handle all of that. We just don't have the ability to be able to pay for that and turn and walk away from the other priorities that we have. The city has not really donated, but it feels like it in some ways. The city has invested $50,000 and turned that into another $350,000 in grants and so on. So what a tremendous return on the investment.
Wow.
The New Philadelphia High tennis team will be able to utilize that. We'll probably get, the state will probably be able to bring back tennis tournaments, which means there's an economic development aspect there. And it's part of really your quality of life measures that are in your community when you take care of these items. And we have probably the crown jewel of outdoor recreational facilities in a municipal setting when you talk about Tuscarora Park in New Philadelphia.
It is a beautiful setting.
Yes, it is.
And there's nothing greater in the spring and summer than to drive by that park and see people out playing tennis and walking their kids around the pond and seeing the ducks. And,
Absolutely.
And then, of course, all the rides for the kids in the pool. That's great.
It's
great,
tremendous.
Great things. All right, well, when we come back, I'd like to talk with you a little bit more about some of the things you've personally been involved in that you're most proud of, and then we'll talk about maybe some of the challenges that we see coming, not only to the city of New Philly, but some other cities across the United States as well. So please stay tuned, and we will be back with more Across the Aisle.
Myers & Miller Podiatry provides complete foot and ankle care to patients of all ages. The practice was established in 2000 by Dr. Adam Myers and has grown to include Dr. Andy Miller in 2007, Dr. Jason Bakich in 2010, and most recently Dr. Kristen Henry in 2015. Our core values of respect and honesty are the basis for how we manage our practice, and we continue to grow by building relationships with our patients in order to better serve their needs. Myers & Miller Podiatry serves Tuscarawas and Holmes counties with offices in Dover, Sugar Creek, Newcomerstown, Millersburg, and our newest location in Uricksville. Let's get started with building our relationship.
Hi, I'm TV2 Sports Talk's Bill Morgan. Some people are outstanding at playing sports, and then there's me. While we at TV2 Sports Talk may have never been all-state on the field, we are Tuscarawas County's MVP when it comes to local television sports talk and play-by-play. Catch TV2 Sports Talk Wednesday nights at 7 and Friday afternoons at 5 on DMG Channel 2.
For the best dining in Northeast Ohio, you need to go and check out John and Cindy Elsasser's Canal Tavern of Zor. Nestled just outside the historic town of Zor, Ohio, the Canal Tavern offers every patron an amazing dining experience including great food, superior customer service, and a comfortable, unique atmosphere. The Canal Tavern is located at 8806 Towpath Road in Bolivar, Ohio, and reservations can be made by calling 330-874-4444. The Canal Tavern of Zor, where history meets great food.
Welcome back to Across the Aisle. My name is Gail Garbrandt, and with me today is my special guest, Darrin Lautenschleger. Darrin is the District 3 New Philadelphia Ward Councilman, and we've been talking about his background, some of the projects on council, the geographic boundaries of his district, and I wanted to continue a little bit more. I know that you've been on council for a while, and some of the projects you've been most proud to be involved in.
Well, sure. Going way back to my first year or so, I headed the committee, a special and contact committee at that time, and the very first item I was handed was a request to rename Quaker Stadium as Woody Hayes Quaker Stadium. And that offered a lot of advantages for fundraising and to honor the legend of Woody Hayes from a football coaching standpoint. And of course, people outside of New Philadelphia think of Woody Hayes and they think of Ohio State football and the tremendous success. In New Philadelphia, we think of Woody Hayes, and we realize that there's a great history lesson there because his first head coaching position was head of the New Philadelphia Quakers football team. So there was some great history lesson there, and a good lesson as well to talk about the great relationship between New Philadelphia, the city, and New Philadelphia City Schools, because we operate Quaker Stadium in tandem. The city owns Tuscarora Park and owns the property, and the city school district maintains and operates Quaker, now Woody Hayes Quaker Stadium. That was one project I was really proud of. More recently, since I was elected, one of the things I felt very strongly and passionately about was that the city has a workforce of around or a little more than 200 employees when you talk about the full and part-time staff. And there wasn't really a real strong, at that time, human resources background for those folks. There wasn't somebody they could go to. There wasn't a service for them. And for many years we talked about we really needed to put into the budget and fund a position to handle that, or to contract with a legal firm, or some type of strategy to help our employees maximize their performances and maximize everything that the city can do for them, as well as what they do for our residents day by day. A few years ago, we were able to fund and fully implement a human resources coordinator position. That position is filled today, and it's not for lack of activity and work to do. The person in that position today is busy day in and day out with a lot of projects and a lot of long-term goals. And it's starting to operate exactly how we envision, and we're starting to see some tremendous benefits for our employees.
That's great news. I know that a lot of employees, I just don't know what they would do without that, because you depend on that for your benefits, for your professional development, and just knowing there's somebody in-house is such a great asset.
Yes, and it helps us attract and retain the best types of workers and employees that we can find to help serve our residents, and that becomes a part of a drawing card and a recruiting tool in itself.
Now, to work for the City of New Philly, do you have to live in the City of New Philadelphia, or does it depend upon the position?
Really, it depends upon the position. There's only a few that you have to reside in New Philadelphia. Most of those are elected positions.
Sure.
Other than that, no. A few years ago, the State General Assembly changed some of the laws, and some municipalities have also adopted some changes as well to help open them up to being able to attract and recruit and retain the very best staff members they can find.
Yeah, that's great, and that's true for the county too, I know. So yeah, that was a good
Absolutely.
decision. Well, I know that there are a lot of challenges that face cities today. I mean, the cuts in funding from the state government and the federal government, and even though the funding is cut, people do expect the services to remain the same or to get better. So what have been some of those challenges that you've had to face, and what do you see in the future as is some of the opportunities as well as some of the challenges that the city will have to deal with?
Sure. Well, one of the big opportunities we've had here recently is that we made a switch in the way our budgeting process is completed year in and year out. We're now putting together a budget on an annual basis that looks at having it implemented by January 1. So council is looking at the budget, and in the fall of each year, preparing reviewing the proposal that comes in from the mayor's office and the administration, and having everything ready by January 1. In the past, we would have temporary appropriations for a period of time between January and March, usually.
Till you could pass the budget.
Till you could pass a budget.
Sure.
And that was always a bit of frustration in a way, and it could create a lot of hurdles in a lot of other ways. So we were able to take care of that. That was something that I feel pretty good about. And as the chair of the Finance Committee, we also changed our process and how we conduct our budget hearings. We've made them very open, very transparent. We've invited the public to come in if they would like to. We're putting more and more items online to allow our visitors and our residents to see exactly what we're doing. And we're trying our very best to show that we're there working for them. It's not the other way around. In addition, when you talk about some of the challenges, boy, there's a lot right now, Gail. Our Governor John Kasich, right now is chipping away. It feels like day by day when it comes to municipalities. One of our more recent concerns is that the the way they want to change collection of municipal income tax. And I use the word municipal with emphasis because I want you to be aware that the City of New Philadelphia collects an income tax. Sure. And we do that with local workers who are employed by the City of New Philadelphia, live here, work here, and so on. The state of Ohio, through Governor Kasich's proposal in the 2017, 18, and 19 budget process, is to take that process away, set up a central clearinghouse in state government, collect all the dollars there, then keep a administrative fee, of course, and then send us even less than what we had earned. So it's very frustrating, and that's on the back of continuing budget cuts through local government funds that we've had to deal with here recently, and so it's something we're very concerned about.
Yes, I can understand that would be very upsetting. Wow. Any other challenges or opportunities that you wanted to talk about?
Well, from the challenge standpoint, we want to maintain what we have. We want to be able to build on services. We're going to have a shiny new fire department. We're going to be able to take care of that for many, many years. And hand in hand with that, at some point, our facilities for our police department are going to have to be reviewed as well, because we're going to need to look at that. We're going to continue to need to review our key services of water, sewer, and garbage to continue to provide those in an effective manner and an affordable manner.
Sure.
And we're going to continue to have to work together as a team with not only ourselves, but throughout the city, the county, the state, and the federal government to provide the very best living environment we can here in the city of New Philadelphia.
That sounds great. Well, thanks again so much for taking the time to come and talk. And do you have any final words for our viewers and voters today?
I would encourage all Democrats in Ward 3 in the city of New Philadelphia, when you go to the ballot box on May 2nd or before an early voting, I would ask you to strongly consider voting for Darrin Lautenschleger. My opponent is Dan Lonzer, so you're going to have two names that are similar. Darrin Lautenschleger is the man you want, and I look forward to serving you again for another 4 years.
Thank you so much, Darrin.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for tuning in for another episode of Across the Aisle. And again, you can catch the show on TV2 Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. and again on Fridays at 4:30 p.m. If those times are not convenient for you, you can go to WJERTV2.com. Under Community Programming, you can find Across the Aisle and watch the show. Or you can go on to YouTube and you will see not only the current sessions of the show, but past editions from past years. So from all of us here at TV2, thank you and have a pleasant evening.